on, guys, and welcome to the Run Pure Sports Core Report. Our premium core plays have been hitting big this past week, and we wanted to recap the recent action. BigT led the way with a 150K PGA shipper to start the week. Tony shared his early guy player pool in the premium Discord before lock, benefiting our members and peppering the leaderboards with RPS logos.
Oh, Stevie Boyden called me a dickhead, too? You didn't say that part, man. I just saw that in there.
Hoop followed up in MLB with a 100K hit of his own. Hoop hit with his core, which went off for our subscribers as well. Finally, Draft Cheat added a big 50K single bullet hit of his own in the MLB afternoon slate, and we got to witness him sweating out the final moments live on our premium final countdown show.
Yes. There it is.
There we go, DC.
DC with the ship.
That's what we do, baby. What was the total? How much total did you have in?
$47 to win.
$47? That's going to be a legendary screenshot.
The Discord was on fire with members riding with DC, proving once again nobody comes close to picking winners like the Run Pure squad.
It was the core on the site, too, obviously, because you only played because of that. So the members had to smash, too.
Oh, yeah. I saw a bunch of members up there.
Our subscriptions are more valuable than ever with our Premium Print Fest Friday Night Fireworks, where we broadcast all of our shows for members only every Friday. And speaking of members, congrats to all of our members who have been crushing it in July. Nike hit for 14K in MLB, TAJ 50-50 hit for 25K in MLB, Nuggets 33 had a 20K shipper in MLB, Michael Smith hit for 20K in MLB too. Finally, T-Zur joined the party, shipping a 20K hit of his own. Meanwhile, Nico H22 hit for 10K in NBA Summer League DraftKings contest with an assist from the great content Rubio and Kurt Jones have been providing. If you haven't subscribed yet, get it now by using the promo code RPSHeater25 to knock 25% off your first payment on a weekly or monthly subscription. Get it now and find out why our logos are consistently all over the leaderboard.
Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome to another Run Pure Sports Underdog show. We're going to be doing a Best Ball Mania 3 draft today, and before we get into that, we're going to go over some of the recent news that have come out with some of the players that have been noteworthy for best ball this season. But before we get into that, I'm Simon Edwards, and I'm joined, as always, by Mitch Snyder. Snyder, how's it going, man? How's everything going this All-Star break for you?
It's going pretty good. Just coming off the last major in the golf season. It was pretty good. I was on Cam Smith quite a bit there. I kind of didn't do the best in my underdog final that I was in for the PGA. Kind of finished mid-pack. A couple of the guys kind of let me down, but it was a fun time. As I believe I see yesterday, 8 more Sundays until NFL's back, so I'm getting geared up. I'm getting pumped up, ready for this football season to get here.
Yeah, for sure. I'm definitely excited about that. It's been a long time, man. Like since we were basically crushing all our predictions in the playoffs last year. So it'll be good to get football back on TV and get another opportunity to try to predict some of these games. But one of the things that we wanted to look at today was a lot of the news that's come out recently that are going to affect ADP. It's been kind of a slow news period as we're getting close to training camp starting. And so it's been a really slow kind of news cycle for the past few weeks. There's been a few big news items that have come out, like the Baker Mayfield news, Deshaun Watson's progression and all that kind of stuff, but we haven't got the big suspension news on Deshaun Watson yet. We're still waiting on that. But today, I was seeing a back and forth between Ian Rappaport and J.K. Dobbins, with Ian Rappaport reporting that J.K. Dobbins might not be ready for the start of the season this year. And Dobbins responded back saying he's definitely going to be ready for the start of the season, and he sounded kind of pissed about Ian Rappaport's report. So, Snyder, you've been drafting really heavily on J.K. Dobbins. What's your thought on this situation? Are you kind of pumped that he's lighting a fire on Dobbins, or like what are you thinking on this whole situation?
Yeah, I actually like it quite a bit. Actually, I hope it continues to drop his ADP so I can get more of him. I'm pretty much drafting him almost every draft I've drafted so far, usually like in the 5th, 6th, 7th round sometimes. But I'm definitely encouraged by his responses and such. He's like, you don't know what I've been up to. He's like, I've been quiet for a reason. I work best when my back's against the wall. I thrive when I face adversity. He's like, I'm not going to post any more videos for you guys or nothing. He's like, just know that I'm going to be ready for week 1. He's like, I'm not even going to go on the pup list, it sounds like. So I think he's going to be full steam ahead. And I tweeted something out just a little bit ago, probably a couple hours ago. I seen some tweet come across most fantasy points per touch. It was like most fantasy points per carry, minimum 80 carries. I think it was in the 2020 season when he was a rookie. He wasn't even playing that much, but he sits 3rd all time from like 2017 all the way to 2021. So, I mean, he's got a lot of gas and he's got a lot of acceleration. I mean, this dude's gonna, if he can be back full strength, I think he's got a huge upside, especially with this offensive line and what they drafted, all these tight ends. I think they're going to be a huge rushing offense, like I've been saying. So I'm still very, very high on J.K. Dobbins. I think he's going to be a top 10 running back this year still, and I'm going to keep on that and keep drafting him.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you on the run-heavy aspect of the offense this year, especially after trading Marquise Brown. They're basically down to Rashad Bateman and Mark Andrews as their main 2 receiving weapons. So they're not heavily stacked in the receiving core this year. But, yeah, J.K. Dobbins going right now in the RB dead zone pretty much. He's probably going in the 5th, 6th round right now, and I don't think that news helped him out at all. We'll see how people respond with J.K. Dobbins responding to Rappaport. So we'll find out where he's at tonight when we do our draft. Another piece of news that came out recently was Leonard Fournette is apparently he showed up to camp at about 260 pounds, and he skipped OTAs, I believe, and the team wasn't very happy with him for the condition that he's in right now. Seems like he's going back a little bit towards the Uncle Lenny days than the Lombardi Lenny that we've known the past few years with Tom Brady. And I don't know what to think about this. I don't really. It doesn't really affect me because I was fading Leonard Fournette anyways. I haven't drafted a single share of Leonard Fournette. I think he's one of those classic examples of people just reacting to last year and letting it affect their decision making, like this coming up year. Same with James Conner. James Conner and Lenny Fournette are 2 guys that I have 0 to maybe minimal exposure to. Maybe like they've fallen like 10 to 20 ADP spots, and I picked them up just because I can't let that slide if the opportunity presents itself to me. But Snyder, what's your thinking on this Leonard Fournette situation right now?
Yeah, it's not really a surprise for me to see him coming in like this. I mean, he just signed that big extension last year. I think it was like a 3-year, $21 million deal or something like that with $12 million guaranteed or something. So he just got his money, and he was just doing what a lot of these guys. You see a lot of these running backs like Eddie Lacy, and they're saying like Najee Harris is coming in pretty heavy. A lot of these guys, we've seen this with many running backs. I was never really on Lenny. I can't believe that he's going right now as RB11. I think that's way too high for him.
Crazy.
I think what's his name? Rashard White. Is that the?
Yep.
Let me pull his name up. Yeah, Rashard White. I think White. He's going to take quite a bit of passing down work from him. So I don't think Lenny's inside the top. I'd be surprised if they finish inside the top 15, maybe even the top 20. I think a lot of these guys behind him. There's no way I'm taking Fournette over like Javonte Williams or over Brees Hall or James. I'd take James Conner over him. I'd take ETN over him. I'd take Dobbins over him. That's about where it gets interesting points there. Definitely on Nick Chubb over Fournette too. He's going as RB12. So off Lenny Fournette. I don't think the Tampa Bay is going to be that good out of the gate either, as Chris Godwin's probably going to be out too. So I think I could see Tampa Bay kind of struggle now the gate, and if White can get the trust from Brady, I think White's going to take quite a bit of the pass game work from him this year.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I am much heavier on White than I am on Lenny. Like I said, I've been fading Lenny. Lenny in the second round is nuts to me. I hear a lot of touts out there just pushing it even more. Like, it's like, oh my God, you got to get Lenny Fournette. It's just like, are you crazy drafting Leonard Fournette in the second round? Like, I'm just not seeing it. I much prefer to draft Rachaad White in like the 10th, 11th round or wherever he's going. I think last time I checked, his ADP was around 130 or so. So he's much better discount, and this news is making me want to draft him even more. So we'll see how that pans out in actual training camp. This is all mini camp news, so it's all a bunch of bullshit basically. You just gotta kind of wait and see what's actually happening when they're in pads and practicing and everything like that, and you actually get to see what's actually going on instead of just speculation and stuff like that. Another news item that we saw recently was that Javonte Williams could be involved more heavily in the passing game for Denver this season. They're talking about using a lot more RB screens and catering the offense more to Russell Wilson, which is, kind of obvious. But Javonte Williams still going in the late second round, early third round this season. Melvin Gordon, for whatever reason, well, not for whatever reason, he had a good season last year. We were higher on him last season. I don't know about you, Snyder, but I haven't drafted any Melvin Gordon this year, whereas if you flip this to last year, I probably had about 20% Melvin Gordon. But I've been fading Gordon this year just because I think Javonte Williams is going to take over this backfield. And hearing little nuggets like that, this came out of the Athletics, Nick Kosmider, who was talking about Javonte Williams being more involved in the passing game, getting more of those screen passes in a Russell Wilson offense. But what are your thoughts on that, Snyder? Does that push him up your draft board at all?
Yeah, I've been pretty big on Javonte Williams. There was that stretch last year where he had 20 plus points in 3 straight games when Gordon wasn't really in the picture. That one game against the Chiefs, he had 23 carries for 102 yards. He also had 9 targets in that game as well. Had 6 catches for 76 yards. So I think Javonte Williams is the total package. I mean, I think Javonte Williams has the upside to be a top 5 running back this year. If like Gordon goes down early and they put everything on Javonte's shoulders, that dude's a freak. I mean, he was so good in college, and he looked very, very good as a rookie last year too. I was just looking kind of at his game log from last year. Yeah, he's very, very good with his hands. Looks like just by eyeball, and I bet he caught 85% of his passes, averaging right around 5 yards a carry too. So I think Javonte Williams is an absolute stud. I've been drafting him a lot too in the spots where I can get him. I'm not reaching too high on him, but I'm trying to get as much as I can when that opportunity presents itself. I'll reach a little bit on him, but I'm very high on Javonte this year.
Yeah, I'm high on him too, and he was in the mix to be the first running back off the board in last year's draft, right around with Najee Harris and Travis Etienne. But I think he was the third. He was the third running back off the board, I believe. I think he went early second round to the Broncos, but he landed in the perfect spot. And this year, I think he's going to get to capitalize on that. The next piece of news that we had involved Brandon Ayuk, and apparently, according to Jack Hammer, they're not too happy with him at the 49ers camp. Supposedly, he's not playing up to expectations or whatever. Now, we got a report on Ayuk probably about 2 or 3 weeks ago saying the exact opposite. that Ayuk was impressive. And that came straight out of Kyle Shanahan's mouth, I believe. So I tend to lean more towards Shanahan's thoughts on Brandon Ayuk than some random report. I'm not sure who was the actual source of saying that to Jack Hammer, but my impression was that Brandon Ayuk had been impressing so far this offseason, and like I said, like Kyle Shanahan, I believe, was the one who it was coming straight from his mouth. So what are your thoughts on the Ayuk situation? I'm thinking I probably would pick up a few more shares of him if he drops even lower. But what are your thoughts here, Snyder?
Yeah, coming into last year's draft, I was pretty high on Ayuk last year. I think he's got some big upside, and I've heard that him and I can't remember that quarterback's name now, but they're doing really good. They have a lot of chemistry. Yeah, Trey Lance.
Yep.
He's got a pretty good chemistry with him from what I've heard. I've listened to a few of their beat writers talk about that in some shows and stuff. But 6 of his last 7 games, he had over 4 catches. He had 8 targets in his last game. I think he's a guy that can be like a PPR kind of monster this year. So I'm pretty high on Ayuk again this year. I'm not going to buy much into there. I mean, there's a few beat writers out there that I think they're kind of just blowing some smoke up in the air. We'll probably hit on another one here in a little bit, but I'm pretty much on Brandon Ayuk again this year as well.
Yeah, I'm with you there. The other report that I saw was Rashad Penny, involves Rashad Penny, talking about how he's looking like the clear lead back in the Seattle offense. And they were saying that Kenneth Walker might be even behind Travis Homer and the other dude over in Seattle's, DJ Dallas over in Seattle's backfield. So that was kind of interesting. I haven't drafted a whole lot of Kenneth Walker. I've been focusing mainly on Rashad Penny. I kind of Rashad Penny truther. I've been drafting him heavily the past couple years. And last year he really paid off coming alive in the back half of the season. This year, I have a feeling that he's going to be the lead back, but I don't know how strong the offense is going to be for him to capitalize on that. But I'm still drafting him around the 10th round or wherever he's going right now. But how does this news, do you think, going to affect your decision-making in this backfield, Snyder? And are you going to use it maybe to get more exposure to Kenneth Walker? What are you thinking here?
Yeah, I definitely like this more so for Kenneth Walker. I mean, Seattle used the 41st overall draft pick on Kenneth Walker. He's got a lot of draft capital in him. I have a hard time saying, well, that same beat reporter, didn't they say that they think that Penny can have like 20 carries a game?
Yeah, I believe so. I believe that was coming.
And then I went back and I was wondering, I thought that was kind of odd, so I went back and looked. Seattle averaged 23 carries as a team last year per game, so I have a hard time seeing that. I could see more of a split, I think, and if Penny stays healthy, that could be like a 1-2 punch, but I have a lot of doubts or worries about Penny staying healthy again. He's just battled injuries forever. I'm not going to – so you're getting Penny's up about 6 spots in the last week. He's at RB31, and now Kenneth Walker's dropped to RB34, down 9 spots or so. So I think I'm going to be drafting more Kenneth Walker than Penny going forward. Penny's definitely got the upside, though. Don't kid me wrong there. If he gets off to a good start, I think he could kind of take the reins here, and then they could kind of put Walker on the side burner for a while as he gets acclimated to the NFL. But I'm leaning more so on to the Kenneth Walker, the value we're getting on him now, I think.
Yeah, I can see the logic in thinking that Rashad Penny is going to get a huge workload this year, just based on where the team's probably going to be in rebuild mode.
Yeah, you
would guess with the shitty quarterback situation, and they have a horrible. I think their defense is pretty bad, if I remember correctly. So we'll see how that plays out. I do think that with Penny, Dusty Pete Carroll has a affinity towards him, obviously, because they drafted him in the first round a few years ago, and he never panned out because he's always hurt. But if Pete Carroll has an opportunity to try to jam him in there, healthy Rashad Penny, he's going to keep him in there as long as he can, I would think, like just to try to get some value out of that first round pick. But we'll see how that pans out. It makes sense to keep Kenneth Walker a little bit a little bit fresh this year too, just because it's probably going to be a lost year. But we'll see how that pans out. Just a couple more news items that I saw, and one was Isaiah McKenzie. I was kind of drafting him, hoping that he would earn that slot role over Jamison Crowder, but it's turning out more looking like Jamison Crowder is going to get that slot role over Isaiah McKenzie. McKenzie's going to stay in that specialty role, supposedly. So I'm going to pump the brakes on Isaiah McKenzie. He's an 18th round pick. You don't need to get overexposed to him anyways. It's good to get some exposure to him just because of the offense that he's in and the role that we've seen him play, especially in the end of the season and in the playoffs last year. But Snyder, is this affecting you at all with your exposure to Isaiah McKenzie in the 18th round or wherever he's going?
I think he's a fine lottery pick, like lottery ticket type draft pick. I mean, he had that one game last year where he had like 11 catches. I think he had like 30 fantasy points that one game. I can't remember who they were playing. Let me pull it up here. It was December 26th at the Patriots. 11 catches, 125 yards, and a touchdown. So, I mean, if you're guaranteed like one game like that for an 18th round pick, I mean, I think that'd probably win you the week, or that'd be huge for you. So I think he's definitely fine for like a lottery ticket type of pick towards the end of the draft where you're really not expecting too much out of that pick.
Yeah, I think he had another big game against the Patriots in the playoffs too. So I think that
nice.
He was worked into the game plan against what they saw with the Patriots defense. So, I mean, they do play the Patriots twice a year. So if they continue to use him against those Patriots defensive weaknesses, then he'll have at least a couple games to potentially end up in your starting lineup. And that's basically what you're looking for in the 18th round anyways. So last note that I had, Lions beat reporter Benjamin Raven reporting that Amon-Ra St. Brown is likely not to get less than 6 targets per game this season. I don't have a whole lot of exposure to Amon-Ra St. Brown just because of where he's landing. Like there's guys like Rashad Bateman and dudes like that who I prefer to draft over him. But Snyder, what are your thoughts on the Amon-Ra St. Brown situation, and do you have any exposure to him? And if not, or if so, are you going to increase that exposure based on this news, or are you going to kind of keep an eye on the ADP and see what happens?
Yeah, I think I have to at least give him some consideration. I mean, I was taking him a lot there towards the end of the year. He had that crazy run towards the end of the year last year. I think he had a touchdown in like 4 or 5 straight games to end the season. I'm just pulling up his card here. Yeah, he had 5 straight games with at least 8 catches and double-digit targets. Went over 100 yards in 2 of those. He had 5 of his last 6 games were 23 points or more, so that's pretty good. That's PPR points. But I think I'm going to take some pieces of him in some spots where I think I can get some value on him. I'm not going to be like overly reaching for him, but our guy, JT Hayes over there at Run Pure Sports, he was big on him last year. I think he started playing him right when he started to go off, and I jumped on the wagon with him there towards the end of the year, but that was a pretty fun time back then.
Yeah, JT Hayes, friend of the parents of Amon-Ra St. Brown. Got some good intel from the parents about the origin of Amon-Ra's first name, I believe. And it was a crazy story, and I can't remember anything about it, but I remember JT Hayes telling the story, and it was pretty entertaining. But as we know with JT, he's friends with a lot of these athletes' parents, so he gives us the scoop on all that kind of stuff. But so I think at this point we can start taking a look at doing a draft here, Snyder.
Yeah, it's cool.
If you're ready on the count of 3.
You want to do Best Ball Mania then?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
I don't think we have any.
Yeah.
Cool. I don't think we have any puppies or anything going on.
Yeah.
But if you want to go on, go ahead.
Yeah, I got it up whenever. You can count it down.
Cool. All right, let's go in 3, 2, 1, enter. All right, 6 more to start for me.
I got 5 more people.
Cool. Yeah, we're probably in the same one.
Yeah.
Let's see. So I take this opportunity to remind our viewers, or let our viewers know, that we have a special going on right now with Underdog, where if you use the promo code RUNPURE when you make your first deposit on Underdog, you'll get a $100 deposit match on your first deposit. So we talk about it all the time. The puppies are only $5 to enter. The Best Ball Manias are $25 to enter. So a $100 deposit match will get you at least 4 entries into the Best Ball Mania, which is a great deal. You know, you're getting a free roll on 4 of these drafts. It gives you an opportunity to kind of get an idea of ADP and everything like that, which is all important when you're doing these, getting familiar with and learning how to navigate around these drafts. But Snyder, in addition to this promo that we're running for Underdog, we're also running RPS Heater 25, where you can get 25% off your first payment on a Run Pure Sports subscription, a premium membership. So why don't you tell the audience a little bit about what you get when you subscribe to RPS Premium?
Yeah, we're on the All-Star break right now for MLB, but that's going to fire right back up. I mean, it's been a huge first start of the first half of the MLB season. I mean, many of our subscribers and many of the coordinators have had a great year. Many screenshots have been posted in Discord, and we're always in Discord answering all questions for all the sports. It's all sports, one price. You get MLB, you get MMA, we got PGA, we got tennis, we got NASCAR. Everything's going. There's even some League of Legends going out. There's some any sports going on right now. So we're in the lobbies there, getting that all nailed down. And then NFL is coming as we're talking about this. Those other sites are going to be coming knocking on your door saying, "Give me $500, $600, $700 to this NFL package." Not here at Run Pure Sports. It's all sports, one price. You get the best talent, the best coordinators, the best plays, playbooks, core plays. Oh, okay. I'm gonna take Christian McCaffrey.
Yep.
But
pick number 1. I didn't even see you had pick number 1 until like.
I didn't either. Yeah.
I got pick 12, man. Pick 12 again. I'm getting the shit luck with my draft position.
We got the corners covered there. Then.
Yep. There we go. We don't have to really worry about sniping each other in this one.
Oh, and I did see here just a while ago the Underdog. Their Twitter just came out and said the Puppy 3 is going to drop August 1st with a $1 million prize pool. So that's interesting.
Oh, shit. All right.
That's pretty big.
I was hoping I didn't have to enter any more puppies, but if it's $1 million,
they're dropping a big one. It sounds like.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with that.
What was the prize pool for that last puppy that was out? Do you remember?
I think first place was like $75K. So I think it was I can't remember how much it was exactly, but not $1 million, I tell you that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it totally makes sense that they would put $1 million puppy out now. This is when most people are starting to shift their focus over to NFL and starting to get a feel for what's happening in the offseason and training camp starting up. We're going to get Hard Knocks here pretty soon, featuring the Detroit Lions this year, so that should be a pretty entertaining season. Looking forward to that one. But yeah, I mean, I am not liking this 12th spot, man. This season, it's really
rough,
tough.
Yeah.
Man, when you're drafting from the top 5 versus the bottom 5 this year, you can really tell the difference. Mm-hmm. It's not as you don't have the 0 RB option as much anymore this year. If you're going in the back half of the drafts, it's not sneaky to draft 2 stud receivers, because you can't draft 2 stud receivers anymore because they're all going in the first half of the draft. So you're basically stuck with middling players on both the running back and I'm going to draft Najee Harris here. Yeah. And I'm going to follow that up with Mike Evans or Travis Kelce. I really hate this spot. I'm going to go with Evans. I think Evans. I don't
think he could have went wrong either way there. Like even, yeah. I think he could even with that 12 pick, like Evans, Kelce is really good. You could even take like a Swift or a Mixon if you wanted to go RB heavy early and
Yeah.
I think that's definitely interesting.
I've actually been fading Mixon this year. I don't have any.
I don't have any of
Mixon
him either,
exposure.
actually.
Yeah, like I have been focusing in the second round on guys like Aaron Jones and Saquon Barkley, guys that I think that are going to end up in the first round at some point during this offseason. So I've been trying to get like massive exposure to those guys when I don't take a running back in that first round. But since I had Najee Harris, it wasn't worth going running back when you're on the back end of these drafts because I just don't like the options. Like, I just don't like the value.
I am pretty high on Swift this year. I think he's got the total package, running and receiving, so I kind of like him this year.
Yeah.
Someone just took Javonte. I was hoping to get him.
So, yeah, with Swift, with me, I haven't drafted much Swift either, just because of what I was saying with Jones and Barkley. Jones, Barkley, and Evans have been primarily my guys who I'm trying to get exposure to in that second round.
Yeah.
So unless I'm on the bottom half of it, because Barkley and Jones have gotten up high enough so that you can't get them if you take like a first 3 or 4 pick. It's hard to get those guys to fall to you now. Before I was drafting Barkley every time I had like a top 4 pick. I was able to get him on the back end of the second.
I'm not really a fan of the first pick either. I kind of hate these next 2 picks coming up. Andrews just went. I really am not a huge fan of any of these guys coming up. Maybe I'll just probably end up taking Nick Chubb, probably.
Yeah. I've been stuck in that situation now. Like before, it was great because you were getting Barkley, you were getting Jones, you were getting Williams easily, right? But now it's like, if you want to go running back there, it's basically Chubb. Like Chubb is what you're stuck with at this point. I'm not super excited about Chubb, but he's got like the biggest, the best floor out of any running back options in that third round.
I think he could be like a huge upside too if Watson gets in there.
Yeah.
Watson's got that misdirection. He's got the mobility too that could help open some things up for Chubb.
Yeah, I agree. And it's looking like Watson might get a lesser suspension than we were expecting. We were expecting originally 8 games to a season, and now it's looking like it could be somewhere in the range of 4 to 8 games. So it keeps getting lower and lower. I've been increasing.
I think it'll probably be right around 6 games is what I'm kind of anticipating.
Yeah,
his ADP is up 20 spots since last week.
Yeah, and him missing 6 games is better than I originally thought going into the season. I thought he was going to miss 8 games, and I was still happy to draft him in the 10th or 11th round. And I stuck. Yeah, like when that news all started piling against him, and he was losing the PR war, which he's still losing the PR war, but he was losing everything really badly, and it was looking like it was going to be a full season suspension. But then things started to swing his way when he started settling those cases. He kind of had to start settling those cases just because things were going so badly for him, and his lawyer's a freaking idiot, and he was basically setting him up for failure. But now it's looking more like he might get a lesser suspension than anticipated. So it makes sense to start drafting him in that 10th, 11th round again. All right, so...
Yeah, I'm fully on board with that. About 18. That's it's brutal waiting for these when you're on the end of the draft. It's brutal sitting here waiting all this time.
There's going to be a lot of dead spots between us, Snyder, with me being the 12th and you being the first. So
definitely.
Yeah. So I'm just 5 picks away right now. Michael Pittman's another dude who's been climbing pretty fast. He's been getting some steam. I like him. too. Like I am tempted to draft him now in that 2-3 turn, or not in the 2. I won't go that far, but when he's in the maybe the 5th pick of the 3rd round, I'm interested. But what's your take on Pittman right now?
Yeah, I had a lot of high expectations out of him coming out of college. I hope he can finally stay healthy, and I think he's in a good situation now. He's got a pretty good quarterback. I think can pepper him the ball. So I think Pittman's got a pretty huge upside this year.
Yeah. So right here, I'm looking to hope ETN and Sutton both fall to me. I wanted Marquise Brown. He just went. So this is the situation I'm talking about, where it's just shitty.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I got ETN at least, but now it's like, do I want Terry McLaurin? Not really. I don't want Jalen Waddle. I'm not excited about any of these dudes. And then if you go further down, you're just drafting guys too far down the list. So I'm just really stuck here. I'm just stuck with drafting McLaurin or Waddle, and so I'm going to take McLaurin here.
Yeah, I think he's got a good upside.
Yeah, you could take Deontay Johnson. He's another option there, but I just think that with the situation with his contract, I just don't think that Pittsburgh's going to be incentivized to play him much this year or give him a featured role this year, because he's holding out for his contract a bit. Pittsburgh doesn't want to pay him. We could see him moving in the offseason. So, I mean, Pittsburgh likely not going to be competitive this year. But, I mean, we know how the Pittsburgh coaching and Pittsburgh ownership play. They want to try for the playoffs no matter what. So they'll definitely put in an effort to try to get into the playoffs and try to play out the season. But I think at some point, from a business standpoint, it makes more sense to kind of take it easy on Deontay at some point during the season. So I just don't trust him this year. Like, what are your thoughts on that situation?
Yeah, basically, I'm right there with you. I don't trust him at all really this year. I'm just trying to avoid. There's quite a few guys I'm trying to just avoid this year, and hopefully it doesn't come back to bite me. But I'm right there, total agreement with you right there.
Yeah.
Hopefully I can get Herbert to fall to me here. I'm 2 picks away, and Herbert's second on the draft list. We'll see if I can stack him with Mike Williams or not.
Yep, Snyder currently Christian McCaffrey, Nick Chubb, and Mike Williams. Getting that Herbert to fall to him would be a nice addition to that team and how it's shaping up to be. Herbert's been going in the 4th round all offseason so far.
He just
Herbert,
took him.
Yeah,
of course, Deep Sea. He doesn't even have.
I know that's the
him
worst.
either.
It's like, why would you take a quarterback that early when you don't have anything tied to him? You don't have any. You're not incentivized to take him there.
Yeah, no, it's pretty tilting.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna go with Jerry Jeudy here. I like his upside, and I thought about doing the Lamar Bateman stack, but I don't really have any. I might even take. I don't really have much around St. Brown. We talked about him. I might just get a share of him right here. I think he's got just as much upside as any of these other guys. I do like Allen Robinson, but I've got a little bit of him. So yeah, I'm gonna take Brown there. Shout out to JT Hayes. I got his guy there.
Well, what's Brown's ADP?
Let me check. 60.
60, gotcha. So that's one of
it was a little early.
Yeah, that's one of the things though when you're on the ends of these drafts. It's like sometimes you have to reach like that because you're not in. That's why I like kind of drafting in the middle of these drafts. If I reach for a guy, I'm not having to reach that far for a guy. If I'm on the end, and you really like a guy, you could end up drafting and having to reach like 10 ADP spots or something like that, like Snyder just had to get that Amon-Ra St. Brown.
We'll see if I can get any other stacks of Bruin coming back. That's one of the things that tilts me the most. You see this people just taking weird, just drafted names basically, which is an edge for us. So in all reality, though, going forward. Yeah,
no, it will be. And I think we're going to start getting more people in now that are just feeling things out. They're not as familiar with ADP and all the off-season news. They've been focused on other sports, especially during All-Star break. There's going to be a bunch of DFS guys that are bored out of their minds right now.
Like Big T was talking about that last night. He was bored. He was driving. He was driving Nebraska last night. He was bored out of his mind. He said he was going to donate some money to Underdog last night.
Yeah, if we get Big T in one of these draft boards, then we know who's paying the rake. So that's a good sign if you end up with Big T in your draft. All right, so right now I'm looking at Najee Harris and ETN as my running backs. I'm happy with that. I'm probably not going to touch running back again until maybe 11th round or something like that. At first, I would be drafting probably in the 10th round or so, because that's where you were getting guys like Chase Edmonds and Rashad Penny and Ramondre Stevenson. I was drafting those guys a shit ton. And now they're starting to climb into like the 9th round and stuff like that. They're becoming like a little less sexy in that area. Oh fuck! So two of the quarterbacks just went back to back, Murray and Hurts.
Yeah.
I was hoping like one of those dudes would fall to me. I'm gonna go with Smith-Schuster here, and let's see. I'm gonna go with Dalton Schultz here, just because I like to get an elite tight end somewhere in this first 10 rounds if I can. You know, I'm not reaching for elite tight ends, but if a guy falls to me like that, where he's only like a few spots ahead of ADP, and I like to get my Schultz exposure, I think he's going to have a decent year with Dallas. They lost Amari Cooper. They have very little people to target right now. Gallup's out with an injury. They lost Cedric Wilson. They're basically down to CeeDee Lamb and Dalton Schultz and Tony Pollard if they incorporate him more in the passing game this season. So they're very slim pickings for Dak's targets this year.
Yeah, I'm 7 picks away. It looks like I will probably try and get Russell Wilson to stack with Jerry Jeudy if he's still there. If the guy in front of me doesn't decide to take 2 quarterbacks this time. I think that was a couple of shows ago where the guy took like 3 quarterbacks and every quarterback was a snipe on me or something.
Yeah, quarterbacks are going to start to thin out here pretty soon.
Yeah, I'm looking at the top movers is Trey Lance for quarterbacks and Deshaun Watson, obviously.
Yeah.
4 picks away.
So, Antonio Gibson, what are your thoughts on Antonio Gibson? He's falling pretty far. He's down to 74 in ADP right now on Underdog, and I mean, I still am not accumulating him, but I've seen some pretty sharp guys on Twitter starting to talk about, well, maybe he's getting to a point where you want to consider getting your exposure to Antonio Gibson.
Yeah, I think he's definitely got some upside there, but I do kind of worry about him staying healthy. And then also J.D. McKisson's right there and Brian Robinson, who they just drafted. I think he's got some upside too if he can get something going. But I haven't really drafted any Gibson yet this year though.
Yeah. The thing that turned me off was when we thought that McKissick was going to be out of the situation, and then the what are they called now? The Commanders were able to entice him to come away from Buffalo. Like, if you're J.D. McKissick, like, why the hell would you go back to Washington when Buffalo was calling your name? You know what I mean? Like, and Buffalo doesn't have a proven backfield, really. They're looking for a receiving back in that backfield, as they showed us in the draft. But McKissick had that opportunity to kind of be the receiving back in a high-powered Super Bowl contending offense, and he decided to go back to Washington. I don't know what they gave him, what they offered him, or what, but it couldn't have been good for Antonio Gibson if they were able to get him to make that decision, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with that. I just took Russell Wilson then. In fact, he stayed on the board for me. I stacked him with Jerry Jeudy, and then I took Russell Gage as well. I took him. I was kind of coin flip between him and who was it? It was Amari Cooper and Michael Thomas I was looking at. And Russell Gage has a different bye week than the rest of my 3 wide receivers. So I got my top 4 receivers all have different bye weeks. So I kind of like that going forward.
I've been increasing my exposure recently to Amari Cooper just so I can build those stacks with Deshaun Watson when I can. I think the entire Cleveland offense was just completely wrecked when that news started getting really bad for Watson as far as looking like a full season suspension. So I don't think they've really recovered in ADP yet either. So I think there's still value to be found there. So I continue to draft those Browns guys at these ADPs. Right now I'm hoping that Lance or Prescott fall to me. Looks like I might be getting one of those guys. These 2 guys in front of me now are the ones who took the 2 quarterbacks last time around. So,
I mean, you might be able to get that Lance Ayuk stack right there, maybe.
Yeah, I'm liking that. We'll see what this dude does. And Lance is a good value. I
hate to see it.
All right, so I'm gonna grab Prescott here. I like having that exposure to Dak Prescott.
That's a stack with your tight end as well, then.
Yeah, exactly. Where am I at? I kind of like Chris Olave. You know what? I like Valdez. Yeah, he's been moving up. I like Valdez Scantling, though. I think has the potential to be the lead receiver in Kansas City. And I always liked him in Green Bay too. At least I liked him towards the end of last season. He was starting to come around, and I think in this new offense, it's so ambiguous as far as who's going to rise and be the wide receiver 1. It could be anyone. It could be him. It could be Smith-Schuster. It could be even Sky Moore. I'm leaning more towards. Go ahead.
I was going to say they gave him a pretty big contract. They gave him a 3-year, $30 million contract, and $15 million of it is guaranteed. So I think they're going to definitely be trying to force the ball his way, I think.
Yeah, especially when you consider what they gave. I think they gave Juju Smith-Schuster, $5 million? So he's making half as much as Valdez Scantling for the season?
Let me check.
Something like that. So that's pretty
1 year,
significant.
$10 million, I think.
$10 million to Juju?
Yeah, 1 year, $10.7 million.
Okay, so
that's
what's
one place is saying?
What's Valdez Scantling for the 1 year?
They signed him for a 3-year deal. 3 year, $30 million.
Okay, so they're both making $10 million. I thought for some reason that Juju.
Yeah, I'll have to look. I've seen conflicting reports there on 2 different reports, but
yeah.
I'll check in on that here after I pick here. I'm up in
cool.
picks. I'm not really sold on any of these guys. I've got Nick Chubb. I might take Kareem Hunt just to stack up that backfield. If one of them gets hurt, I think the other one could have a huge year. So I'm not usually huge on doing that, but I think I'm going to do that here. And then looking at tight end, I might get Goddard.
I don't mind doing that on run-heavy offenses that we know are going to be super run-heavy. And the Browns, we know for experience, is going to be run-heavy. I also like doing that with New England. I don't mind doing it with Seattle and Buffalo too, just because their running backs are so cheap. And we know that with Buffalo, the coach was talking a lot about getting back to the run last season. And they lost their offensive coordinator in Dayball. So I would imagine that McDermott is going to have a little more influence over this new OC and could push him more towards the run and mixing that in more. So I don't mind taking double tap on that Buffalo backfield. Let's see, right now, Snyder just drafted Kareem Hunt and Dallas Goedert, like he was saying. So he's looking at Christian McCaffrey, Nick Chubb, Mike Williams, Jerry Jeudy, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Russell Wilson, Russell Gage, Kareem Hunt, and Dallas Goedert.
I just seen a deal on that Juju contract. It looks like it's a 1-year deal worth $3.25 million, right. But there's an incentive package that could add on another $7.5 million if he hits his incentives.
Okay, yeah,
that's where it got to $10 million, I guess.
Yeah, that makes more sense. Mm-hmm. So the fact that he has to earn that $10 million versus Valdez-Scantling, they just gave it to him straight up, I believe.
I think so, yeah.
So that tells you that maybe they have a little more faith in Valdez-Scantling. I like to kind of follow the money when it comes to these situations, with ambiguity and stuff.
Yeah. Do you have any takes on that Kansas City backfield? Like I'm hearing some reports like Ronald Jones is looking better in camp, and CEH's draft stock has been falling as of late as well.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I haven't really followed too much like what's going on there, but I definitely would not be opposed to getting exposure to both of those guys. I'm going to take Garrett Wilson here. I got the pick. I like him this year. Yeah, I think he's has some good potential this season. And then I'm kind of stuck here. I don't really see anyone that I like. I'm going to go with James Cook. Normally I try to grab... Yeah, I would try to grab another receiver there, but I don't see anything that I like. And Cook is just right there at ADP for me, so it makes sense to kind of go with that direction.
Yeah, I like James Cook a lot coming out of college. I think he's got some pretty big upside out of the backfield. Mainly, I think he's seen a lot of like explosive plays from him in the big time SEC games and the SEC title game and the national championship game.
Yeah, and I like how my running back bye weeks are kind of spread out. I got a 9, 11, and a 7 right now, which is nice. I basically own the Kansas City wide receiver core. I got Smith-Schuster and Valdez-Scantling. I didn't end up with Sky Moore. So that's one thing. Another thing that I like doing, I like stacking receiving cores. Like if you don't get the quarterback for a stack like that, who cares? Like you got the weapons. Yeah, like sometimes like I like doing that a lot with these guys, these quarterbacks that you can stack naked, like Trey Lance or Jalen Hurts or who's the other guy? Justin Fields. Like these guys that you can run naked without having to worry about stacking a bunch of their weapons, and then you just maybe stack the weapons on the Bengals or a team like that, where that they're gonna. Their wide receivers could go off every week, and Joe Burrow could still be like a 20-point per week guy. So there's a lot more upside potential, I think, when you don't worry so much about that correlation between quarterback and wide receivers, and you focus more on just stacking wide receiver cores and going with the naked Konami code quarterbacks.
Yeah, for sure. I did get Tim Patrick to drop to me, so I'm going to take him to double stack with Russell Wilson, and then kind of up in the air with my last pick. I could take Patrick there, and then looking at one of these might just reach for a little bit for a rookie wide receiver here. Actually, I think I'm going to take Pat Freiermuth too right here.
Yeah, I like that pick.
I think they could. They're going to need to rely on him for some short dump offs with these quarterbacks they have there.
Especially if our theory on Deontay Johnson is correct, then
Yeah.
they're going to need that underneath guy to kind of throw to, especially with Mitchell Trubisky and a rookie quarterback as your QB. So they might be relying pretty heavy on tight end.
I think he's going to catch a lot of 4 and 5 yard little dump offs.
Yep, yeah, would not surprise me. Yeah, especially in that offense. But I will say this about Pittsburgh's offense: like Matt Canada is the offensive coordinator, and last year we were talking about how we thought that Ben Roethlisberger was going to embrace this new OC and embrace the play action style that he likes to play more, and it'll help. It would help Roethlisberger kind of overcome some of those O-line deficiencies and whatnot, and help him to complete more passes or whatever. But Roethlisberger just stayed with the type of boring, stale play that he liked to do. He just wanted to stand there in the pocket and fire these ducks to people, and it just completely ruined the vision of Matt Canada, how they started to look a little bit in the preseason. You got a little bit of that look at the RPO style in the preseason, but then when Ben Roethlisberger got his handle on the back on the reins of that offense, he just turned it into like a dust bowl again. And so I think when you get a guy like Mitch Trubisky, who would be better in an RPO style offense, or you get a guy like the rookie that they drafted who could be crafted towards that style of offense, I think it's going to be a much better fit for one of those dudes than a dinosaur like Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah, for sure. I'm trying to do some research on a couple guys I'm looking to take here. Some relatively new news. 14 picks away. You're coming up here to see if Joey Votto, did he take your guy again or not?
He just grabbed Gesicki.
Gesicki, yeah.
I kind of like Rashad White is gone. That's a dude that we'd been talking about earlier. I'm going to go with Jamison Williams there. I like the upside.
I like that upside a lot.
And let's see. I think I'm going to go with Deshaun Watson here. Just to kind of you know what? I got a QB on 9 already. I'm going to take Landry here.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll leave him for you if you want him, Snyder. I forgot my quarterback is already a week 9 bye week guy.
I've got a 9 also.
Yeah. I do like I like Landry a lot this year. I kind of like the New Orleans offense in general this year. I think they're kind of being overlooked a little bit. I think Olave is going to have a good season. I think that Jarvis Landry is going to have a good season. I think Winston is going to be able to support a couple weapons in that offense, especially if we end up seeing Kamara miss the first 6 games of the season. On top of that, I believe it's Kamara's year 27 season too, and there were studies done on that year 27 season where there's a major drop-off like in running back production when they hit that 27 season, and it's almost like a uncanny, just fail-proof thing for when a running back hits that age 27 season that they're not going to be producing anywhere near what they were in their prime. So I've been making kind of an effort not to draft any of those guys. I've been kind of fading Dalvin Cook. I think he's a year 27 guy. Dalvin Cook, Leonard Fournette, guys like that. Let me check and see how old Dalvin Cook is real quick before I put that out there.
Yeah, I think he's got to be... I bet he's close to 30.
26. He's 26.
Okay.
So
wow. He's younger than I thought.
Yeah. August 10th, though. So he's going to be 27 when the season starts. So, yeah. So guys like that, I'm trying to avoid this year and focus more on younger running backs.
I agree.
That's why you see me drafting guys like. I got a lot of faith in Najee Harris this year. I'm drafting him a ton. Like I'm drafting him sometimes over Austin Eckler, because I think Eckler scored something like 20 touchdowns last year, and it was significantly more than Najee Harris. But if Harris has touchdown regression hit his way this season, and maybe he gets like four more touchdowns than last year, and Eckler scores 4 less touchdowns, then that would swing Najee Harris over Eckler. And Najee is a younger guy. Eckler's already been talking about how he wants to have less of a workload and prolong his career and stuff like that. So it would not surprise me at all if that running back that San Diego drafted this year plays a pretty significant role. It's not San Diego, and the Chargers drafted this year plays a significant role in that offense and kind of lightens the load a bit on Austin Eckler. That's kind of my thinking when I'm drafting Najee Harris pretty high above some of these other running backs this season.
Yeah, I agree with that. I just took a couple young running backs myself there. I had McCaffrey, Chubb, and Hunt, so I basically had one stud running back and then 2 guys that could be a stud. They had the same bye week, though, so I went and took Michael Carter, who I think has some upside. He's got some good pass game upside. And then I took Tyler Alligator from the Falcons. I've heard a lot of good things about Alligator coming into the season through camp and such. He did rush for an FBS lead in touchdowns last year. He had 23 touchdowns in college last year, so he's got that knack and the eye for the end zone there. So I think he's going to be a pretty good value, I'm hoping.
What was he, BYU or something? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then you're up here in a little bit. Are you going after Jameis Winston?
Yeah, potentially. Like I'm looking at right now in my queue, I got Deshaun Watson and David Njoku, because I think if I can get that stack, well, that would put I can't do that, because that would put me at both my tight ends and my quarterbacks week 9 buys, so I'd have to draft 3 of each, so that would just fuck me.
Yeah.
So I got to pick like one or the other as far as those
Don't
guys.
You have 1 or 2 Saints receivers? Did you take Olave?
No, I didn't get Olave.
Oh, I got you.
Mm-hmm. Just Landry, and he's not worth stacking, I don't think.
Yeah, probably not. Olave is a guy that's been on the up. It's been on the charge upward. He's almost about ready to break through 90th overall. He's getting close.
So it's my turn here, man. Let's see. I'm gonna go with. I freaking hate this spot.
It's a rough spot right here.
I'm gonna go with. I'm going Watson. I'm gonna double tap quarterback here. I'm gonna get Winston too. I hate doing that, by the way. I'm trying to think
Winston's
different.
Both of those guys got big upside, so I mean they can both put up 30 points in a game pretty easily, I think.
Yeah, I was hoping that Tyrion Davis Price was going to fall to me. That would have given me a like a 4th decent running back. But sometimes you just gotta do something like a little bit outside of what you normally do.
Yeah, I hear you there for sure. I'm kind of looking at maybe getting Nico Collins if he falls to me. He's been on the rise though too. I mean, his ADP has been going up pretty substantial here as of late. In the last week, it's went up over 10 picks. He's up 11.4 picks over the last week. So I've been on him quite a bit throughout the offseason draft. I've been stacking the Houston team up pretty regularly.
Yep.
I think it's a pretty cheap stack. So I might try and do that again.
It's a cheap stack and it's a good upside stack. It's like, we were talking way in the beginning of this process about how Houston impressed us last year. They had like some some solid
Big
games. Yeah, like Davis Mills was throwing 300 yards pretty regularly. I think he had like 4 occasions where he threw over 300 yards last season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, like that upside for a guy that you're getting in the 18th round, I mean, you can't really beat that. It's just, he was impressive, man. Like, and he's not, because he's on like a dumpster fire team like the Texans, he just doesn't get the love that he should be getting. And you compare him to Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson, he was shit last year, right? And he had a bunch of weapons. But Davis Mills, like, he had Brandon Cooks. Like, that's all he had. Brandon Cooks is a good weapon, but that was all that he had. And he had a bunch of dusty running backs, and it was just a horrible situation. But Davis Mills was still able to pull out like 300-yard games, pull out a couple upsets. I think the AFC South is wide open. I think that people are way underselling the Jaguars and the Texans, and I think they're way overselling the Colts and the Tennessee Titans. I think the Titans suck. I think they sucked last year too. They just got lucky. I think the Colts have a dusty quarterback in Matt Ryan that everybody is kind of over-projecting this year. I do like Michael Pittman. I think he's going to benefit from Matt Ryan, but I think the Colts in general are not an impressive team. They got Jonathan Taylor, obviously, but is Jonathan Taylor going to carry them to the playoffs? He didn't last year, Like, I know they had Carson Wentz, but Carson Wentz, like he gets shit on, but at the end of the day, how much better is Matt Ryan going to be than Carson Wentz? I guess we'll find out. In the prime, obviously, Matt Ryan would blow away Carson Wentz, but, Matt Ryan is an aging quarterback, and I don't know what he's going to accomplish this year. He didn't look very impressive the last couple years in Atlanta, and he had some decent weapons, so he really had no excuse other than coaching. So he's with better coaching this year, so we'll see how that pans out. But I think that underestimating the Jaguars, who have a young team, spent a bunch of money on their offense this year, and they got an improved coaching situation, I wouldn't overlook them to take the division this year. And I don't think that they're getting the respect that they deserve. And I think the Texans are going to be competitive this year. I don't know where they're going to end up, but I wouldn't be surprised if they finish above either the Titans or the Colts this season. I wouldn't be surprised by that.
I agree with that for sure. I think the Texans offense is going to be pretty good this year. I think Davis Mills is once again, he's going to chuck the ball around. I think he's going to have multiple 300-yard games again. I look for Cooks and Collins to really have some pretty big games this year under the radar. It's not really under the radar as much anymore with Collins' ADP starting to rise, but I think John Minchie's right there too. It sounds like he's coming back fully healthy from his injury. So I think that's just another game breaker right there for that offense.
All right, so I'm going to grab who am I going to grab here? I'm going to grab Noah Fant. I like Font this year just because, or Noah Fant. I never pronounce it right. I'm grabbing him, and I'm going to grab David Bell because I need somebody to stack with Watson. I missed my opportunity to grab Jalen Tolbert to pair with Dak Prescott earlier, but I take Watson there, or take, David Bell. He's fallen a lot. He was going in like the 14th round or so earlier on in this offseason, and when the Deshaun Watson news started turning south, he's one of the casualties of that. He started taking a dive as far as his ADP is concerned.
Yeah, I'm just looking at this article I put up one of the beat reporters is saying that John Minchie is close to returning to the field. It sounds like so.
Yeah.
I think he's coming off that ACL very, very good if he's already getting close to returning to the field this early. So I'm going to be trying to target him here in the 16th and 17th round with Davis Mills. I'm going to try and kind of double tap that stack there and make it a double stack with Nico Collins, who I got last round.
Yeah, I like
and
that.
then I took KJ Hamler too with my second pick last time and to get a triple stack with Russell Wilson.
Have you been taking much Brevin Jordan this season?
I do have him on a few teams that I do have like a secondary stack with Houston really late.
Yeah.
And if I don't have I probably won't take him this time because I have two other tight ends. But if I didn't have a decent backup, or I would probably look to him for sure.
Yeah, Brevin Jordan, I've been drafting him when I need that one extra piece to draft with my Davis Mills stacks. He's the tight end for the Texans. Last year he had a couple good games. There was a lot of buzz on him early on in the offseason. I don't know where that's at now. I haven't heard too much out of the Texans other than, potentially looking at Jimmy Garoppolo, but I highly doubt Garoppolo ends up in the. Why would you do that when you got Davis Mills with all that potential? So I'm not buying that at all. I'd say it's great for us, like to drive Mills ADP further down, but he's already going in the 18th round, so we can't really get much better value than that on him.
Yeah, I ended up just taking that Mills and Mechie there, so I got the Mills, Mechie, Collins secondary double stack to go with the Wilson stack I have.
Yeah, love that.
Pretty happy with that, I guess.
Yep, I'm looking at double tapping my running backs on this next round. I got Dearness Johnson goes with my Brown stack. I think Dearness or Kareem Hunt, I'm guessing, will not be on the team by the time the season starts. Just because the situation they're in, they don't need both those guys. And I think they paid decent contract to Dearness Johnson. So I just wouldn't be surprised if they unloaded Kareem Hunt's contract, which would put Dearness Johnson in a great spot.
Yeah.
Especially if Watson ends up being the QB for the majority of the season this year. By the way, I would not have grabbed a third quarterback in that situation. I would have grabbed Deshaun Watson and played him as if he's going to be playing during the Week 9 bye, which is where Dak Prescott's bye was. But just having two guys on that Week 9 bye, I was kind of forced. My hand was kind of forced to take a third quarterback if I wanted to go that route with Deshaun Watson, which I did because I'm trying to get some exposure to him in these mid-teen rounds right now. There goes Chris Evans. So I'm going to shift my focus to double tapping Jerick McKinnon and Dearness Johnson. That gives me another piece of that Kansas City offense. And there goes fucking Jerick McKinnon. Okay, so I'm going to go. Right I'm going Dearness Johnson. That gives me 4 running backs. And I'm looking at potentially grabbing. I might grab Julio Jones here. It's the 18th round. I was just going to
kind of mention him.
Yeah, I'm gonna grab Jones. Haven't figured out where he's ending up yet. I'm guessing that he's just trying to play it so that he doesn't have to take part in training camp this year.
His ADP has been rising. It's up to 187, and you got him at 205, so that's a really good value there.
Yep. I think if you need an indication that there are people who have not been drafting very much this offseason, like that right there, you're going to start to see these guys that had made those climbs, like Julio Jones and guys like that, who had made those climbs with people who've been drafting all summer, kind of thinking that situation through and accepting that, maybe Julio Jones is going to have a decent role this season or land on a decent team this season. Like newer people that are just starting to draft maybe haven't really considered that yet. I have only 4 running backs on this team, which is fine. I ended up getting Najee Harris and Travis Etienne pretty early. Also got James Cook and rounded out with Dearness Johnson. I got 2 running backs on week 9 buys, which I don't like when I have only 4 running backs, but for the sake of this team, I'll take it. I was going for adding more to my Cleveland stack, which is why I went in that direction. So I end up with Dak Prescott, Deshaun Watson, and Jameis Winston as my quarterbacks. I end up with Najee Harris, Etienne, James Cook, and Dearness Johnson, like we just mentioned. I ended up with 9 wide receivers: Mike Evans, Terry McLaurin, Juju Smith-Schuster, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Garrett Wilson, Jamison Williams, Jarvis Landry, David Bell, and Julio Jones. So I got some upside there in my wide receiver core. And I end up with Dalton Schultz and Noah Fant as my tight ends. So overall, not like horrible, like for what I was dreading in this 12 spot. But I mean, that just goes to show maybe we're getting better teams in the 12 spot with people who haven't been drafting as much starting to enter the player pool here.
Yeah, I'm just about. I think I'm going to take Odell with the last pick here. I think he's going to end up playing somewhere. The Rams are thinking they might get a deal done with him yet too, I think.
Yep. Yeah, I think so too. So that's it for the draft. Snyder ends up with. Hang on a sec here. Let me just close out of this so we get rid of that. So Snyder ends up with Russell Wilson and Davis Mills as his quarterbacks. Ends up with Christian McCaffrey, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, Michael Carter, Tyler Algier as his running backs. I like the Chubb Hunt connection, or you could go Chubb D'Ernest. You could go D'Ernest and Hunt. Although I do think that, like I was saying earlier, I do think that it's a possibility that either Hunt or D'Ernest ends up off the roster by the time the season starts and on another team, which is why I like D'Ernest, honestly. Like, if you end up with D'Ernest with that crazy 18th round value and he ends up being the starting running back on one of these running back deprived teams, then you're in good shape, right?
Absolutely.
So as far as wide receivers, we have Mike Williams, Jerry Jeudy, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Russell Gage, Tim Patrick, Nico Collins, KJ Hamler, and John Mechie. And then we end up with Dallas Goedert and Pat Freiermuth as the tight ends on Snyder's team. So what are your thoughts on that team there, Snyder?
I'm pretty happy how it came together there. I was trying to get the original stack with Mike Williams and Justin Herbert. That got sniped right before me, so I had to kind of pivot there, and I went with Jerry Jeudy instead and started to build the Broncos stack. And then I backdoored that late Houston stack, which I have on quite a few of my teams, a late double stack there with Collins and John Mechie, and I'm pretty happy with my tight ends. I mean, I think they're both serviceable tight ends. I don't think they're both have huge upsides, but I think they're both steady Eddie tight ends, so I kind of like that. I'm pretty happy with this team overall. I think I got good correlation and then some upside in some other spots as well.
Yeah, I do like Goddard a little more, I think, than you might. I think he's got some decent upside. I think he's a great pick. Like, if you can get him in that late 9th, early 10th round, especially. But sometimes he'll fall to you, like in the mid 10th, like if you're patient with tight end. And at the point that Goddard gets off the board, I'm typically holding out until maybe I get to the David Njoku range, because I think Njoku's going to have a good season this year. They paid him a shit ton of money, and he has the potential to have Deshaun Watson as his quarterback. So there's a lot of potential there with Njoku. So overall, that's a good strategy to take with tight end if you don't get it in the first 10 rounds, and you're kind of aiming towards those mid-teen rounds for tight end. Typically, I'll take 3 tight ends if I push it that far. How are you doing with their tight ends if you get in that round, that range there, Snyder?
It just seems to depend on me. I'm just kind of taking best value at that point, I think. I've got a lot of Darren Waller so far this year because I've got quite a bit of stacks with I've actually got a lot of Waller and Devontae Adams stacks with Derek Carr on probably, I want to say, I bet like 40% or 50% of my teams are Raiders stacks this year. So I'm not sure how I like that, but down there, I think Goddard's probably the best guy down in that range. So for sure, like Gesicki's got some upside. I have been getting higher on Irv Smith as of late too. He's going like in that 11th, 12th round, I think. I think he's got some pretty big upside. That's pretty much it. I'm trying to get an elite tight end like a Mark Andrews. I'm really high on if I can get him. And Darren Waller. I don't have any George Kittle yet this year. I don't have any Hawkinson, really. I don't have much Schultz. It's mainly been Andrews, Kittle, or Goddard, or I kind of piece together some of these lower tier tight ends, trying to get like 3 of those together.
Yeah, I've been, if I'm going elite tight end, I've been aiming more towards Kyle Pitts or Waller, like you on Waller. And if I don't get one of those guys and I still want an elite tight end, I've been going more with Schultz. I haven't really drafted Kittle. I'm kind of like you. I don't like how he's been used in that offense the last couple years. I do like Goddard. I haven't ended up with a lot of Goddard though. Like I've been kind of skipping over him because he's kind of falling in that range where I like to draft Chase Edmonds or one of those types of running backs. There's a good running back range there. So I kind of tend to focus on those guys, and like I said, like if I get out of the 10th round, I'm basically holding off until like the 13th, 14th round. I do like Gesicki. I think he's going to lead the team in touchdowns this year. We'll kind of see how that pans out, but I think he's set up beautifully to lead the team in touchdowns this year because I think that Tyreek and Waddle both
of those guys that are on the perimeter, definitely.
Yep. They'll be on the perimeter, and they'll be able to move the ball into the red zone. They'll probably be playing a lot in the red zone, I would imagine, if they play their cards right. And we've seen what the coach did to Kittle, like when he was the OC over in San Francisco. I think he was the OC during those years. Like I'm not sure how long. He might have been the running back coach or the running game coordinator at that point, but he comes from that background where they offense elevated a guy like Kittle. So hopefully Gesicki gets that same type of treatment if the offense is anything like what we've seen from San Francisco in the past. But that's it for this show. Thanks for joining me again, Snyder. As always, maybe we'll try to get a guest on one of these next shows coming up, like as we're getting into the season where all the news gets interesting and stuff like that. So it's going to be a crazy few weeks once training camp starts. And I think the rookies have already started reporting for teams like Buffalo and a couple other teams. So we'll see what happens there when these news starts to break. You could feel really good about your playing pool right now. But like you give it a couple weeks and you'll start to see guys like ACLs going out and stuff like that, and you could think that
like that Ravens backfield.
Yep, the Ravens backfield, Travis Etienne last year. I felt really good about my player pool going into about August last year, and then everything just like fell apart. I ended up losing like almost half my teams due to injuries. So this year I've been playing a little safer. I haven't been going heavy yet, except on the puppies where you can't really control where you're drafting in those. You got to get it before the puppies fill. You could try using the quantum drafting strategy where you just kind of wait until the contest is just about filled, and then you enter 100 slow drafts, and then just kind of like milk it so that you're drafting completely different teams than everybody else in that contest. But reminder, Run Pure is the promo code if you want to make a deposit on Underdog. They'll match your first deposit up to $100. Use the promo code Run Pure. That's for new accounts. And Snyder, again, thanks for joining us. Make sure to catch Snyder tomorrow night on our golf show at, 8:30 Eastern, Snyder?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, 8:30 Eastern tomorrow. And in the meantime, enjoy the All-Star break and keep running pure.